You ever heard of a south-pointing chariot? Sounds like a Grateful Dead album, but a south-pointing chariot, you ever heard of that? You know what it is? In Asian cultures, thousands of years ago, they would build these things, a south-pointed chariot. And the idea was, imagine like a Ben-Hur kind of a number with two wheels pulled by a horse or whatever, and it would have this pointer. And no matter how you turn the chariot, the pointer would always point south because of a very complicated differential gear and a very sophisticated way of calibrating that. So no matter where you went and how you turned and all of that stuff, that pointer would always point south. Now, if you're mechanically inclined at all, you're trying to get your head around how in the world that would work, and you're like me going, oh, I'm glad that's not on the test, because that's very sophisticated. The more you think about it, the more difficult that machine would be to build, and yet they built them all the time. You can find them in the tombs of some emperor or another. Over and over again, they built these south-pointed chariots, and they were beautiful and sophisticated and elegant, and what an amazing thing. Even now, thousands of years later, it's hard to get your head around how that would really work, and yet they didn't work very well. That's the thing. They didn't work very well. Sooner or later, on the battlefield or on the journey, you'd have to calibrate it again because there's too many variables. What if you turn left more than you turn right? What if the ground's uneven? What if stuff? We got to recalibrate. Somebody look at the sun. As it turns out, the universe can already tell you where south is. There's a million ways. Even then, when they built these things, they knew about magnets. They could make compasses. Even then, back then, they knew to look at the stars or the coastline or a landmark. As it turns out, there's a million ways to get your act together right outside your ego. Or you can get really caught up in building a sophisticated machine that doesn't work half as well as the thing that's already there. You could have gone home all the time, Dorothy. Look at your life. Maybe there's a south-pointed chariot in there somewhere. It happens. It happens. What if there is a very simple set of things? What if it's about looking past what we want to see and into something that wants to see us? What if life will tell you if you learn where to look? One day, my son was probably 3 or 4, and he was being bad. It happens. And I didn't do the right thing. I didn't have a good parenting moment. I had a lazy parenting moment. Instead of saying, okay, little guy, we're going to redirect your behavior, and let's talk about our feelings, and maybe we'll sing a song. Get my guitar out. You know, I didn't do any of those things that you're supposed to do. It wasn't a Wiggles moment. Instead, I took the easy way, the lazy way out, and I said, if you keep doing this, Mom's going to get mad at you. I threw my wife under the bus, 100%. Not proud of it, but it absolutely happened. I made her the bad guy. Secretly, I didn't want her to get mad at me either, but we won't talk about that. If you do this, Mom's going to get mad. And I thought that would be the end of it. And my little boy, who was smarter than me then and is smarter than me now, looked up at me and he said, but I want Mommy to be mad at me. Now, in that moment, you have some choices. You can examine his scalp and look for the number 6 repeated 3 times. You can do all kinds of things. It's easy to get to that moment, and you're laughing because you have a story like that where you had to deal with a little person or maybe a not-so-little person. There are people in your life who go, you know what, your rules don't apply to me. I'm doing it this way. Tough luck. And you can get to that moment with a little person or a big person and go, you know what, we're at a stalemate. Keep abusing me. Or you can run from that person, or you can fight against that person. I've tried all of those things, and maybe you have too, and you know, just like I, because we're all experts in this, that none of those things work. Sooner or later, you will have to deal with that person in that situation again. All of a sudden, my bad parenting moment turned into a slightly better parenting moment because I realized something. Wait a minute. I can't have a stalemate with my boy. God put me in this guy's life for a reason, so we're going to figure this out. And I realized in that moment what he's really saying is, I just want to get through to somebody. I want to make an emotional connection, don't we all? Now, I can fight that and pound it into the ground, and that desire doesn't get addressed. Or I can say, wait a minute, there's something beyond here. What if we found a more empowering way to relate to each other? Yeah, you want to get a rise out of your mom. Not so healthy. But you want to connect to somebody. Well, we all do. So let's find a positive way to do that. Let's figure out how love works right now. This is the truth about each and every one of us. People do the craziest things in the outer, the nuttiest things in the outer, and you've got stories and I've got stories of stuff that people did to you, even though they really only did it to themselves, and things that you did too. You have those quiet moments at night when you're just trying to go to sleep and you remember, oh, that thing I did in 5th grade, or yesterday, or both. You can beat yourself up for that if you want. It's kind of fun in a weird, cathartic kind of way, but it doesn't help. Or you can say, beyond the outer things, there was an inner thing. People do the nuttiest things in the outer for internally valid reasons. Which will you dwell on? I'm going to say that again. People do the nuttiest things in the outer for internally valid reasons. Which will you dwell on? You can get caught up in the behavior, or you can find what the call is beyond the appearances. People do crazy things because they want love, or because they don't want to be alone, or because they're afraid, or because who knows why. Will you be part of the punishment or part of the healing? That's your choice. And as you think about your choice, think about yourself. Because my experience is people are the toughest on themselves in this process. Yeah, you did that, whatever thing it is that you feel bad about. But if you really think about it, you did it because you wanted love. You wanted to connect. You wanted an answer. You wanted to break through. You wanted something that is absolutely appropriate to want. Just don't do it that way anymore. That's all. Nobody's judging it. Do it different. Listen instead of to the outer, listen to the call of your heart. And it won't lead you wrong. As it turns out, life can be very simple if you let it be.